Zara employees beg you not to buy these 12 items, and the reasons have nothing to do with taste, and everything to do with what happens after you leave the store. On the floor, Zara looks effortless, clean lines, perfect lighting, clothes that feel like smart purchases. But behind the racks, employees see a completely different story. They see which items come back damaged, which ones customers complain about days later, and which pieces people regret the moment they actually try to live in them. And that matters, because these aren't rare flukes, they're patterns. Patterns that affect how often you end up replacing clothes, how much money you quietly lose over time, and why your great find sometimes turns into something you never wear again. The uncomfortable part? Some of the biggest problems aren't hiding in wild trend pieces. They're hiding in items shoppers trust the most. The safe buys, the everyday pieces people grab without thinking, the ones that seem impossible to mess up. Today, we're counting down 12 items Zara employees say you should avoid. The products they've watched fail over and over again. The ones they warn friends about. The ones they wouldn't buy even with an employee discount. Some will surprise you. Some will hit a little too close to home. And a few, once you hear why employees hate them, you'll understand exactly why this list exists. Let's start the countdown. Number 12, thin knit tops and soft touch sweaters. We're starting this list with an item that feels harmless, comfortable even, the kind of thing people grab because it looks easy and versatile. Thin knit tops, soft touch sweaters, lightweight knits that feel amazing under store lighting, and even better on the hanger. According to Zara employees, this is one of the most misleading categories in the entire store. On the rack, these pieces feel soft, stretchy, and cozy, like the kind of basics you'll wear constantly. But employees say they're also some of the most returned and complained about items, especially after the first wash. The problem is the fabric. Many of these knits are made with delicate blends designed to feel good immediately, not necessarily to last. They pill quickly, they stretch out at the elbows and neckline. They lose shape faster than customers expect. And once that happens, the piece goes from favorite top to, why does this look tired already? Employees say shoppers often come back confused, not angry, asking why the sweater suddenly looks different after only a few wears. The answer is usually the same. These knits aren't built for repetition, they're built for appearance, and this is why it matters. Thin knits feel like smart purchases. They don't scream trend, they feel safe. But because people wear them often, every flaw shows up faster. What looked like a good deal quietly turns into something that needs replacing. That's why Zara employees often skip these pieces themselves. They know how quickly the softness fades and how little you can do to bring it back. Number 12 isn't the worst item on this list, but it's one of the first signs that not everything in Zara is meant to age gracefully. And as we move on, the items only get more expensive and more disappointing. Number 11, faux leather items. If number 12 is about fabric wearing down quietly, number 11 is about items that break down dramatically. Faux leather pants, jackets, skirts, and bags. Zara is famous for these. They look bold, edgy, expensive. Under store lights, faux leather feels like a power move, especially when the price is far lower than real leather. But employees say this category is one of the biggest regret generators in the store. The issue isn't how these items look on day one. It's what happens with time, heat, and movement. Faux leather relies on a plastic-based coating, bonded to fabric underneath. When that coating is thin or rushed through production, it doesn't age, it degrades. Employees regularly see faux leather items come back peeling, cracking, or flaking after minimal wear. Sometimes it happens after a few months, sometimes after one season. And once it starts, there's no fixing it. The piece is done. Customers are often shocked because they didn't abuse the item. They hung it properly. They wore it carefully. But faux leather doesn't forgive friction, warmth, or humidity, and Zara's versions are rarely designed for longevity. This matters because faux leather items are usually statement pieces. People buy them expecting confidence, not collapse. And when they fail visibly. That's why employees warn shoppers quietly. If you want something for a photo or a single night out, fine. But if you want something that will last, this is a gamble. And as we move up the list, we're leaving annoying behind and heading straight into items employees actively avoid. Number 10, trend-driven pants, extreme cuts and shapes. Number 10 is where Zara's speed really starts to work against the customer. Trend-driven pants. We're talking ultra-low rise, exaggerated wide-leg trousers, cargo pants with endless straps, oddly placed cutouts, and silhouettes that look incredible in photos but feel strange in real life. Zara employees say these pants are some of the fastest items to cycle in and out, and for good reason. These pieces are designed to catch attention, not necessarily to function long term. The cuts are often rushed to hit trends at peak hype, which means fit testing is minimal. That's why customers constantly struggle with waist gaps, awkward crotch seams, uneven lengths, and pants that look great standing still, but fall apart the moment you sit, walk, or bend. Employees see these pants come back frequently, not because they're defective, but because they're impractical. People love them in the fitting room mirror, then realize they can't wear them comfortably for more than an hour. And this is why it matters. Trend. Pants aren't cheap. They feel like statement purchases, but when a piece is designed for trend speed instead of real bodies, it becomes disposable faster than you expect. Zara employees often say the same thing. If a pant shape feels different, edgy, or experimental, it probably won't age well. The trend will move on, and the fit will never quite make sense again. And as we move up the list, we shift from awkward design to outright reliability issues. Number 9. Heels and dress shoes. If number 10 is about discomfort, number 9 is about trust. Heels and dress shoes. Zara's footwear looks sleek, modern, and surprisingly affordable. And that's exactly why employees say this category trips people up the most. Shoes are complicated. They carry weight. They rely on balance, structure, adhesives, and materials working together. And when production is rushed, the first thing to suffer is durability. Employees regularly see complaints about heels snapping, soles separating, straps breaking, and shoes becoming painful after minimal wear. Many of these issues don't appear in store. They show up later, during actual use. The problem is that Zara shoes often rely heavily on glue instead of stitching to keep costs low and production fast. Under pressure, heat, or moisture, that glue can fail, and when it does so suddenly. This matters because shoes aren't just accessories. They affect posture, balance, and safety. A failing heel isn't just embarrassing, it's dangerous. That's why employees tend to avoid Zara shoes themselves. They'll admire them, they'll recommend them for short events, but for anything involving walking, standing, or real wear, they skip them. And as we continue this countdown, the items get closer to the body and harder to ignore. Number 8. Structured blazers. Number 8 is one of the most convincing illusions in the entire store. Structured blazers. Zara does these very well at first glance. Sharp shoulders, clean lines, that instant, I look expensive now, feeling the moment you put one on. Employees say this is one of the categories customers trust the most because it feels like a smart, grown-up purchase. But that confidence doesn't always last. The issue isn't the outer fabric, it's what's hidden inside. Many Zara blazers rely on thin linings, light padding, and minimal internal structure to keep costs down and production fast. In the fitting room, everything looks right. The blazer hangs well, the shoulders hold, the sleeves fall cleanly. Then real life happens. After a few wears, employees say the same problems start showing up. Linings bunching or wrinkling, shoulders collapsing, sleeves losing shape, and the blazer slowly forgetting how it's supposed to sit on the body. Because blazers are meant to look sharp, even small flaws become obvious fast. This matters because blazers aren't impulse buys. People buy them for work, meetings, events, moments where polish matters. When a blazer loses structure, it doesn't just look worn, it looks wrong. That's why employees quietly warn shoppers. If you want a blazer for a specific occasion, fine. But if you're building a wardrobe staple, this is one of the biggest gambles in the store. And once you notice how quickly structure disappears here, you start to question something else employees talk about constantly. What happens when that same looks good at first logic is applied to items people wear every single day? Number 7. Denim, jeans, skirts, and jackets. That question brings us straight to number 7. Denim, jeans, skirts, jackets. The pieces people expect to last. The ones shoppers assume are safe buys. And according to Zara employees, one of the most consistently disappointing categories on the floor. Denim is deceptively complex. Good denim needs strong fibers, tight weaving, proper dyeing, and time to set. But when speed and cost take priority, shortcuts show up, just not immediately. Employees say Zara denim often feels great on day one. Comfortable, flexible, easy to wear. That's because many pieces use thinner denim blends with added stretch. The problem? That stretch doesn't recover. Customers come back with the same complaints. Jeans stretching out permanently, knees bagging, waistbands losing shape, uneven fading, or odd shrinkage after washing. Buttons loosen, zippers jam, seams drift slightly off-center. And because denim is worn often, these flaws appear faster than people expect. This matters because denim isn't a trend piece, it's a foundation. When your jeans stop fitting properly, the whole outfit feels off. And most customers don't return them. They just stop wearing them and quietly feel like they wasted their money. That's why employees tend to skip Zara denim for everyday wear. They know the lifespan rarely matches the expectation. And as we move further up this list, we leave wardrobe staples behind and step into items that fail in ways you can't ignore. Number 6. Lightweight dresses. Once denim starts to feel unreliable, Zara employees say the next category that quietly causes regret is anything marketed as easy, effortless, or throw on and go, lightweight dresses. These are the flowy minis, slip dresses, airy summer styles that look perfect on the hanger and even better under store lighting. They feel flattering, simple, and safe, which is exactly why employees consider them deceptive. The problem isn't how these dresses look in the store, it's how they behave once they leave it. Many of these pieces are unlined or only lightly lined, relying on thin fabrics to keep production costs low and turnaround fast. Under bright retail lighting, those fabrics look opaque and smooth. In real life, outdoors, in sunlight, or after a few hours of movement, their weaknesses start to show. Employees say customers often discover issues mid-wear, fabric turning sheer, clinging awkwardly to the body, showing every wrinkle, or losing its shape by the end of the day. These aren't defects you catch in the fitting room. They appear after sitting, walking, sweating, or washing, and that's why this category matters. Lightweight dresses are usually bought for frequent wear. People expect to grab them again and again. But because the fabrics are fragile, the lifespan is short. Necklines stretch, seams drift, and hems start to hang unevenly. What felt breezy and flattering at first quickly starts to feel flimsy. Employees also mention that many of these dresses don't recover well after washing. Even when care instructions are followed, the fabric rarely returns to its original structure. The dress doesn't technically fail, but it slowly becomes unwearable. That's why Zara employees often skip these pieces unless they're buying for a specific moment. They know the disappointment isn't immediate. It arrives later, quietly. And once you start noticing how often lightweight dresses break down, another pattern becomes obvious. Items that rely heavily on stretch and tension tend to suffer the fastest, which brings us directly to number 5. Number 5. Stretch tops and bodycon pieces. Stretch tops, ribbed tanks, bodycon dresses, pieces designed to hug the body and bounce back into place. Zara employees say this category looks forgiving, but it's one of the least forgiving once worn repeatedly. These garments rely on elastic fibers to hold their shape. When produced quickly, those fibers don't always have the resilience needed for long-term wear. At first, everything feels right. The item fits well, looks flattering, and gives that "this is a staple" feeling. Then, the stretch starts to fail. Employees say customers frequently report necklines loosening, waistbands relaxing, ribbed fabrics twisting, and compression disappearing after only a few washes. The garment still exists, it just doesn't behave the way it did before. And because these pieces sit so close to the body, even small changes become noticeable. A seam digs in where it didn't before. A dress shifts instead of staying in place. What once felt secure starts feeling awkward. This matters because people buy body-hugging pieces with intention. These aren't experimental items. They're meant to make someone feel confident. When that confidence disappears, the item loses its purpose entirely. Employees often say they avoid these pieces for everyday wear, especially if they're worn often or washed frequently. They know the combination of tight fit, elastic dependence, and fast production makes longevity unlikely. And as this countdown continues, we move past gradual disappointment and into items employees actively try to steer shoppers away from before money is spent at all. Number 4. Tailored trousers and workwear pants. Tailored trousers are one of the biggest confidence traps in Zara. They look polished, structured, responsible, the kind of item people buy thinking, this will be in my rotation for years. Employees say that mindset is exactly why this category causes so much quiet regret. On the rack, Zara's workwear pants appear sharp and well-fitted. Clean waistbands, crisp pleats, a silhouette that promises effortlessness. But behind the scenes, employees see how often these trousers fail once customers actually live in them. The core issue is construction. Many of Zara's tailored pants are made with thin fabrics that lack reinforcement in high-stress areas. The waistband looks solid, but softens quickly. Seams around the seat and inner thighs are often underbuilt. The structure that gives the trousers their sharp look simply isn't designed for repetition. Employees say customers commonly come back with the same concerns. Pants losing shape after a few wears, fabric creasing permanently, waistbands stretching unevenly, or trousers sagging in ways that make them feel sloppy instead instead of professional. Once that happens, the piece doesn't feel wearable anymore, even though it's technically still intact. This matters because workwear isn't occasional clothing. People wear these pants for long days, commuting, sitting, standing, moving, and washing frequently. When trousers can't handle that cycle, the disappointment hits fast. Employees also mention that fit problems in this category are especially unforgiving. A pair might feel fine in the fitting room, but after hours of wear, the lack of stretch and structure becomes obvious. Tightness in the wrong areas, pulling at seams, discomfort that builds over the day. That's why many Zara employees avoid buying tailored trousers for themselves. They know these pieces are built to look professional, not necessarily to survive professional life. And once trust breaks in items meant to feel reliable, shoppers start noticing the same issue elsewhere. Which brings us to number 3. Number 3, formal dresses and special occasion wear. Formal dresses are where expectations collide with reality, and employees say the fallout here is the hardest to watch. Party dresses, event gowns, birthday outfits, the items people buy for moments that matter. These aren't casual purchases, they're emotional ones. Zara is exceptionally good at making formal wear look expensive. Dresses are styled to perfection, clipped and pinned on mannequins, photographed under ideal lighting. Everything is designed to sell the idea of a moment. But employees say the illusion doesn't always survive real life. Many of these dresses rely on thin fabrics, minimal lining, and rushed construction to keep production fast and prices accessible. On the hanger, they look structured. On the body, under movement, that structure often disappears. Employees regularly see customers return formal dresses with similar complaints. Sheer areas they didn't expect, zippers breaking or catching, seams pulling, hems hanging unevenly, or fabric behaving unpredictably after just one wear, and timing makes everything worse. Formal dresses are usually bought close to an event. When something goes wrong, there's rarely time to replace it. Customers aren't just disappointed, they're stressed. They feel let down during moments that mattered to them. Another issue employees notice is movement. These dresses often look fine standing still, but sitting, dancing, walking, or raising arms exposes flaws that weren't obvious in the mirror. The dress wasn't designed for real use. It was designed to look good quickly. That's why employees approach this category cautiously. They know some pieces work beautifully for photos or shortwear, but long events expose every shortcut. And as this countdown continues, we move beyond disappointment and into categories employees describe as genuinely risky to buy, even when they look harmless. Number 2, shoes, heels, boots, and trend footwear. Zara shoes are one of the most tempting sections in the store, and according to employees, one of the most dangerous places to let your guard down. At first glance, the appeal is obvious. Sleek boots, trendy heels, stylish loafers that look like they belong in a much higher price bracket. Employees say customers often pick them up as bonus buys, assuming shoes are simple enough to get right. But behind the scenes, this category causes constant frustration. Shoes are complicated. They rely on structure, balance, reinforcement, and materials working together under pressure. And Zara's footwear is produced under the same speed-first system as everything else. That's where the cracks begin. Employees frequently hear complaints about heels snapping, soles separating, straps tearing, and shoes becoming unbearably uncomfortable after minimal wear. Many of these issues don't show up in the store. They appear after a few hours of walking, standing, or being worn outside real retail conditions. One of the biggest problems is construction. To keep costs low and trends moving fast, Zara shoes often rely heavily on glue instead of stitching. That glue can fail under heat, moisture, or pressure. When it does, it happens suddenly. A heel breaks, a sole peels, a strap gives way. This matters because shoe failures aren't just inconvenient, they're embarrassing, sometimes painful, sometimes dangerous. A broken heel isn't just a ruined outfit, it's a fall risk. Employees also point out that many Zara shoes lack proper support. Thin soles, minimal cushioning, poor weight distribution. These aren't noticeable immediately, but over time, they cause foot pain, knee strain, and discomfort. People don't always connect back to the shoes. That's why employees themselves rarely buy Zara footwear for everyday wear. They might recommend them for short events or photos, but for real walking, they skip them. And once you realize how unreliable shoes can be, it changes how you see everything else in the store, which leads directly to the item employees warn about the most. Number 1, basic t-shirts and everyday essentials. The number 1 item Zara employees beg customers not to buy might surprise you because it looks harmless. Basic t-shirts, tanks, everyday essentials. These are the pieces people trust the most, the ones they buy without thinking. The items meant to anchor an outfit, not complicate it. And that's exactly why employees say they're the biggest trap in the entire store. On the rack, these basics feel soft, simple, and reliable. Customers assume a t-shirt is a t-shirt. How bad could it be? But employees see the reality play out over time. These basics are often produced with thin fabrics designed to feel good immediately. They're soft, lightweight, flattering in the mirror, but that softness comes at a cost. The fabric stretches, necklines warp, the shirt twists slightly after washing, seams drift. What once looked clean and crisp quickly starts looking tired. Employees say customers frequently come back confused, holding up a shirt and asking why it doesn't look the same anymore. The answer is simple. These basics aren't built to last, and this matters more than any other item on the list because basics are worn constantly, washed frequently, reached for again and again. Every flaw shows up faster. What feels like a safe purchase quietly becomes the item you stop grabbing, the one that sits in your closet looking worn long before it should. Over time, you replace it, then replace it again and again. That cycle is exactly why employees avoid Zara basics themselves. They know that while the price feels low, the long-term cost adds up quickly. This isn't about one bad shirt. It's about a pattern that drains money slowly without customers realizing it. And that's why this item sits at number 1, because the biggest risks at Zara aren't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes they're hiding in the most ordinary pieces of all. If this list felt a little uncomfortable, that's because it's meant to make you pause, not panic. Zara isn't bad, and not every item in the store is a mistake, but some pieces fail often enough that employees notice long before customers do. And once you know which items are most likely to disappoint, you stop shopping on autopilot. You start buying with intention. You save money, you save frustration, and you stop replacing things you thought were safe. So the next time you're in Zara, remember what you've just heard, especially when something looks too easy to grab, too familiar to question. If this video helped, share it with someone who shops Zara regularly. And if you want more breakdowns like this, straight from the people who see everything behind the scenes, subscribe and tell us which brand you want us to look at next.